Hello and welcome to the Pediatric Network. Now today we're going to be talking to two docs from Australia who are involved in the CPRF. Now that is the Chiropractic Pediatric Research Foundation. And if you spend any time on the Pediatric Network, you will know that our focus is to look at the data and look at the research behind interventions for the pediatric patient. So these docs are all the way from Australia. The Chiropractic Pediatric Research Foundation is what they are involved in. I got to chat to them about what that entails, what kind of research they're producing, what kind of research they're looking to produce in the future, what they need from us as the community to be able to keep doing the stellar work that they are doing. We're also going to be talking about how we can raise a bit of funds for the CPRF. We have a wonderful scoliosis online course from Dr. Moira Robertson that we're going to be launching shortly. We're going to be doing a kind of a raffle on that, so that all those proceeds will be going straight to the CPRF. But let's have a chat quick about who the docs are that we're going to be chatting with. So first of all, Dr. Braden Keil. Doc Keil completed his master's in chiropractic 1987 and then went on to do his master's degree in chiropractic pediatrics. He's also the author of the first full-time fellowship program in chiropractic pediatrics, and he developed and wrote Australia's first 2-year postgraduate diplomate in chiropractic pediatrics, which is a program which is taught around Australia today. We also get to talk with Dr. Christian Flutter. Now, Dr. Christian has completed his master's in chiropractic 2005. He then completed the diplomat in chiropractic pediatrics, and he has begun his fellowship in chiropractic pediatrics. So please join me in welcoming these two wonderful docs from the CPRF. Hello and welcome to the Pediatric Network. My name is Mike Marinas. I'm your chiropractor and host here for All Content Pediatric. So today we are speaking with Braden and Christian all the way from Melbourne in Australia. How are you guys doing?
Oh, look, pretty well. Thank you, Mike.
Good. It's wonderful to be able to chat with you guys today. And we've brought you on for a very specific purpose, not just because we think it's cool to be able to chat to people on the other side of the world, which it very much is, but we've got hold of you guys because you guys have a large involvement in the CPRF, the Chiropractic Pediatric Research Foundation. Can you please tell us a little bit about what is entailed in the CPRF?
Early last year, we started the process because we come to the conclusion that we needed a research foundation that was targeted at chiropractic pediatrics, because the other research bodies in Australia were not doing anything in the field of chiropractic pediatrics. So the first step then was forming a company, and then we have to go through a process to get a charity status, which allows donations to be tax deductible. So that's what we achieved at the end of last year. So basically that means we're now open for business, and we have also been developing a research agenda. So topics we want to see researched that we are prioritizing. So we need two things. We need to generate funding for research, and we need researchers to come to us and say, I want to do this research on chiropractic pediatrics, so that we can get the ball rolling and get more papers out there. Okay,
fantastic. But this is not just a pie in the sky idea that you kind of come up with and we're just starting. You have got some papers that have been successfully funded and are already out and in some pretty heavy hitting journals, I might add.
Yeah, look, it's actually, that started quite a few years ago with a different association, the Australian College of Chiropractic Pediatrics. We wanted to drive some research into this industry. And so with the ACCP, we actually test drove a system of fundraising. We contacted Dr. Dawn Carnes over in UK and contracted her team to do a bit of research. And using a crowdfunding method, we actually fully funded 2 papers in no time at all. These 2 papers, from conception to publication, I'm talking less than 12 months. And yeah, in BMJ Online, no less. So that was pretty fantastic. It just really showed that there's a need. People need this kind of stuff, and there's a want for more research in this industry.
Yeah, very, very much so. And both of those papers, I've done a bit of a breakdown on, and we'll put some cards up if you're watching this on YouTube, and we can link you to those, so you can have a good look at those. I think if there's one area of chiropractic where we really are looking at research, and not just research, but quality research, which is always the definer here. It's in pediatrics, and I think we're at that point now where if we don't build it now, we are going to start falling behind, and we're not going to have a leg to stand on when it comes to us saying, yes, we are effective in this section of the population.
Yeah, very much so, very much so. Now this is why, like Braden and myself personally, we've been trying to get as many papers out as possible. I think we've just had one come out today in the Journal of the Canadian Chiropractic Association on hip dysplasia, a lovely little case report. But yeah, you're right. It's a little a void that we're seeing, and any void that you're going to have existing, it needs to be filled. And if you don't do that soon, somebody else is going to fill it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think now is the time, because we're starting to see, and I know from like we were just talking about off air now, when I've put, especially the systematic review paper on crying and excessive crying and colic, when I put that through to my medical colleagues, my pediatrician colleagues, they said, "Oh, now hang on a second. Now we're starting to see there's a little bit here," but it's also for them a beginning to open up, and then they want to go, okay, now let's have a look and let's see what else is going to come out. So it's almost like without a framework, and a good framework, which is what's being created here as far as I can tell, without that good framework, you need that to then be able to put all those other little bits and pieces onto and start getting people interested. But to start getting people on that side of the story interested, you need to have a good solid base of which to work, which I think is what's happening here.
That's the aim, exactly. It's no good just doing one paper. We need to be putting out 10, 20, 30 solid papers. The weight of evidence needs to be generated to change people's minds and open the doors.
So in terms of future research coming out, what kind of research questions have you guys got in mind?
Well, we see two avenues. We've on the CPRF website, we've got a prospectus which details our research priorities. But we have a couple of key topics that we're going to actively pursue. So we're in the process of trying to headhunt some researchers to see if they will work with us. And one area that we're focusing on right at the moment is the benefits from chiropractic care in breastfeeding. Now, as far as a health priority is concerned, increasing the percentage of mums who continue to breastfeed their babies to 6 months of age is a really important health outcome for any population. And the rates are way too low. And we feel that chiropractic can really improve the rate of ongoing breastfeeding to at least 6 months of age with great health benefits to the baby. And as chiropractors, we've all experienced mums coming back and saying how much better their baby breastfed after their chiropractic care. So to us, that's a really important priority because it will resonate with government and it will allow positive results there will allow us to be involved in the care of babies right from when they're born, which is crucial to good outcomes. So we're in talk, chasing some researchers, well-known researchers in breastfeeding who are non-chiropractors in Australia. And we hope we can put together a number of projects over the next year to really provide some solid evidence of good outcomes with chiropractic care.
That would be absolutely amazing. Fantastic. Yeah.
And Dr. Christian will run you through some of the other key areas that we're looking at.
That's it. Let me just pull out a prospectus that I might have had hiding down here. Yeah, look, there are plenty of different, with the magic of internet, I can show you something that wasn't here before. And
Speaking of the magic of
so,
internet, as we get into that, what is the website address?
So we actually, so it's kidschiro.research.org.au.
Okay.
So I don't know if you can see it on the back of that one.
Oh, yeah. Fantastic.
Yeah, kidschiro.research.org.au. And so it's nice, it's simple, it's straightforward. It tells us exactly what it is. It's kids in chiro and research.
Mm-hmm.
And on that website, you can download a digital copy of this guy here. But really, throughout the website, you can find the different research priorities that we have. As Braden mentioned, the breastfeeding is a huge one. He was talking about numbers. I'll tell you the numbers. So at birth, it's over 95% of parents initiate breastfeeding. But by the time it gets to that 6 months, it's around 15%.
Wow.
Okay, so that's a massive drop-off in breastfeeding rates. That's exclusive breastfeeding rates. And, back in 2000, I believe it was 2003 or 2013, a chap in the US actually looked at the reasons behind why parents stopped breastfeeding early. And one of the major, in fact, the most cited reason was difficulty with attachment and latching.
Mm.
And so myself and one of my colleagues, Dr. Janelle Bourgeois over in Western Australia, we actually had a case study on this published in a breastfeeding journal. No, so thankfully it was a breastfeeding journal, and it's read by IBCLCs, lactation consultants, health nurses, all those types. And it was just a great one because it was just a simple case, failure to thrive, difficulty with attachment. Mm. And, as we see, there's research out there that shows that within that first treatment, even after the first treatment, there was substantial improvement in breastfeeding process. So, yeah, there are many different things that we want to address in regards to research, but that's where we're going to be starting our road. But have a look through it. If there's something that's of interest to you, please get in contact with us.
I'll tell you, in terms of breastfeeding, I mean, on the Pediatric Network group that we have, the whole idea is to get multidisciplinary people in one space and to be able to speak with each other. And we have a lot of lactation consultants. We've got a good couple of GPs and pediatricians and that kind of thing on the network. And I think one of the things that's really interesting is when I put a poll up of what kind of information would you like, breastfeeding was way, way up at the top, but there by chiropractors and by lactation consultants and by a lot of people even psychologists that work with neonatal bonding. And I think the big thing here is a lot of these professions are because they're referring backwards and forwards with chiropractors, they're seeing that there's a change. There is a positivity that comes out of a chiropractic treatment with breastfeeding children. But we're past the point of going, well, I've seen it for myself. Now we've got the chiropractors on one side going, I need some data behind what I'm doing because we're all moving in this direction. But you also have the other people that are big proponents of chiropractic going, if you could give me some data, I can then push that. I can for myself be quite happy that I'm sending you a child because there's good data behind it. And then I can move that through my fraternity and be able to say, look, guys, send them off. It's not just that me and a couple of people have seen a good outcome. Here's some decent research that shows that, yes, there is a certain amount of good outcome that you'll see.
There is, but what does all good research require?
Yeah.
Funding. It's always going to come down to, is there the dollars to drive the research?
Yeah. And I suppose if not us, then who? And that's always been the problem.
Yeah.
I remember sitting in my doing my Ped Masters at ACC in the UK, and sitting down with a couple of mates and going, there really should be more research on this. And then we kind of went, oh my goodness, we're the people. When you realize we're the
that's right.
Realize, oh my goodness, it's us that's doing further education into this, that we should be doing this, So when I spotted an opportunity with you guys, I'm like, yes, let's do it. Let's get people excited about it. Let's get people seeing who you are. Let's get your name out to people. And let's give people an avenue to be able to go, right, you want the research? Be part of it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And the point you raised earlier about people wanting to know where their money's going is such a crucial one. And the feedback we got when people would know that the donation they're making to research was going to a specific project that they liked the sound of, that got them really excited. And that's why we're able to get the funding so rapidly for Dawn Carnes and her team.
Yeah. I must say, I also love the fact that there's an interplay here because of Dr. Carnes being an osteopath.
Yeah.
I love that because it's also, for me, there's, and I don't know how many toes I'll step on here or what the story is. This is a personal belief of mine, is that there's good data, and it's not chiropractic data, it's not osteopathic data, there is just good data.
Good data. Correct.
Exactly. And when we were looking for someone to do the project that Dawn's team did, we were really looking for a non-chiropractor for the reason that there's an element of bias potentially there that we wanted to remove.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I remember when I spoke with her, that was something that came across to me so clearly, that one, it removes a certain amount of bias, yet we still have someone with a manual therapy understanding looking at it.
Yeah.
And that's the most important, because you can remove the bias, but then you also remove the skill. And that becomes problematic. So here we have this wonderful blend of someone with the skill to look at that data and go, yes, with a background in manual therapy, to go, I understand how this works, but not a vested interest in going, but you see, this is exactly what it, not walking into it saying it must be this way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It was funny where this was this guy's idea. And when we were knocking around potential people who could be involved in this whole project, it was actually just after Dr. Carnes had her paper on, what was it, the other one?
Yeah, she did a systematic review.
That's right. And it was actually just after that paper came out that we were having this discussion of she would be a very good person to get in contact with. And yeah, it just took a couple of months to get to that point. And well, the rest is history, isn't it?
Yeah, and she caught my eye because I had referenced to that previous paper when I was putting all my stuff together when I was studying, and I'd done quite a bit of referencing of her. So when I saw this come out, I was like, oh, wonderful update on what we've already got. And then I'm a proper nerd, so I'd like printed it, got it all out, got my coffee ready, got my biscuit ready, and I was like, right, in we go. And then as I went down, I thought to myself, I need to speak to this lady. And then, I organized an interview with her, and then through that, met you guys, and just this circle of researchers keeps growing, and I think just the more we can almost put you guys out to everyone so that they can see what's happening, almost like humanize this, because I feel sometimes research almost feels like a big machine that the people are in a tower somewhere and, maybe they don't understand us, or maybe I'd like to understand how their brain works around something. And that was, speaking with her just opened everything up for me. And then speaking with you is doing exactly the same thing, because I now have a better understanding of where's the research coming from? What's the motive? Why are we trying to push this? Why are we using the certain researchers that we're using? And it's wonderful to connect with you guys. And I think so wonderful for all the people on the network and all the people that are involved in, evidence-based care, to be able to see this is where it's coming from.
Absolutely. You're quite right. There's too often a divorce or a separation that leads to lack of understanding and awareness. And
to be able to marry the two makes it that much nicer. I remember the first time I had a wonderful paper by a German pediatrician, and he turned out to be this huge deal in Germany, where he talked about container kids for plagiocephaly, and he talked about the reasons that he believed that the rates of plagiocephaly were increasing. And I read through the paper and I thought, man, there's a lot of chiropractic inside here. the guy's talking a lot of the principles we generally talk about. And I thought to myself, it'd be wonderful to talk to him. And one of the receptionists in my office said, but his email address is right there. Oh, okay. Well, got hold of him. And to talk to him, he was like, oh my goodness, people in South Africa are reading my stuff. You're a chiropractor. I love that. And I think just, to be able to expand this community that kind of way is it's just so nice because it humanizes everyone. And you kind of feel, people are on your side and people have the same ethos and ideas as you. I just think it's wonderful. So to be able to connect everyone with everyone, if I can do that, that's my plan.
Yeah, excellent. Good. And I'm glad you mentioned plagioccephaly because that is another one of our leading priorities for research.
Oh, wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful. Yeah. Well, I cannot wait for that to come out because that is a very, very special interest of mine at the moment. Work a lot with the cranial orthotists. We work a lot with, we have a tribe that will go backwards and forwards with. So data on plagiocephaly will be very, very welcome. Just for me personally, but
yes, we've got some research ideas that we're just desperate to go ahead with in that area. So hopefully we can get some action on that in the next year or so.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, I look very, very, very forward to that. Guys, I'd also like to talk to you about you've got a virtual conference that's going to be coming up now, the ACCP conference. Can we chat a little bit about that because the speaker list looks fantastic? I mean, not just to say that Christian is on it.
Well, that's because we're speaking at it, you see. So that really is what ties it over. It's a fantastic one. So we initially wanted to actually have a physical one, but that's been kind of dampened by just a small pandemic of sorts. And so instead we've had to ship small pandemic, no planes, that's it. So we've shifted to an online format and it's allowed actually a lot more exposure, if you will. So many more people, we've had now people from Singapore and New Zealand and all over the world sign up, which is wonderful to see. But we've got Dr. Deb Lees, a pediatric spinal surgeon, coming in and talking about pediatric sporting injuries.
And a chiropractor.
And she's a chiropractor as well. That's right. Phenomenal. So absolutely fantastic blend of all things health. Yeah. Dr. Keil Inuado, he's talking about concussion. He's actually going to be sitting down and giving us management advice, signs to look out for, return to sport, all that kind of stuff in regards to concussion.
And Carlo's just completed his PhD on vestibular rehabilitation. So he's heavily involved in research as well, and as well as a clinician. So he'll be able to bring us not only the research aspect, but also the clinical aspect.
Yeah. So exactly. And so the other part with this one, so we're looking at having pre-recorded sessions, but we don't want to lose. One of the things about a conference is often it's that interactivity. You get the option of sticking around and waiting until you can rub shoulders with the people who are speaking. And so in November we're actually running live interactive sessions with the speakers. So people can ask questions and get further understanding of a particular concept or anything along those lines, or just ask them what they had breakfast that day.
Yeah,
simple things.
Wonderful, because you want that connectivity, you want that backwards and forwards with them to be able to.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, it's like what you've established with the Pediatric network. It's a wonderful concept, and it's actually, I was talking with Braden about this afternoon. 30 years ago, this wasn't possible.
Not at all.
You couldn't do this. And so we're in a beautiful point in technology time to be able to do something like this.
Yeah, and we've. When I looked at your Instagram post and I saw that conference was going on, my first thing was like, I now actually get to go to that. I can actually get to go to it, and I know that a lot of my colleagues that are sitting in South Africa, and I know a lot of my colleagues that are sitting in the UK at the moment, are all looking at that going, hang on a second, we can get to see speakers that we would never normally. It's prohibitive because to go all the way over to a place. I know that when we have speakers here and we have a couple of people try to come into South Africa, it's prohibitive because it's so far away. And I know Australia suffers from that geographic time zone problem. But now we get people like Dr. Deborah Leese that you actually get to listen to her, and she, just from my personal experience, she's phenomenal. So I'm definitely going to be sharing out in the comment section of the video. I'm definitely going to be sharing out the link because I think the more people that can get onto a conference like that, and I think many more of them, because people are just I think people are getting used to this online story, and I think people are going to, I hope, almost get to the point where we get to like expect this coming month, I can listen to this person, that person, this person. I can listen to them in the comfort of my home, and I don't have to now travel to Texas or travel to Chicago. All those things are wonderful.
Yeah.
And I know there's a wonderful social side to that, but there's also the side of going, man, I just want the information sometimes. I'm keen on listening to that person, getting the information, and yeah, so wonderful. I'll definitely be sharing out the link of that because I can't wait for it.
And the other thing is the profits, proceeds from this conference are all going straight into chiropractic pediatric research.
Fantastic. Then I'm buying 2 tickets. Wonderful.
Excellent.
That sounds fantastic. So again, wonderful. Another wonderful way to fundraise. What we are doing at the Pediatric Network, what we've decided might be a nice idea. We have a wonderful new scoliosis course that's coming out from Dr. Moira Robertson. It's a 2-hour online course, and what we're going to be doing, you'll see in some of the posts that will come up on the Facebook page, we're going to be doing a bit of a raffle kind of idea where you get to do a bit of a donation into a fund for CPRF, and you could stand a chance of winning that brand new course that's coming out from Dr. Moira Robertson. I've had a look at it. It's fantastic. I've learned a lot out of it. So hopefully in our small way, we can pass a little bit of funding on to you guys as well.
That's fabulous. Greatly appreciated.
Well done.
Good. I'm looking very, very forward to having that to having that happen. Guys, before I let you go, and thank you very much for your time. Before I let you go, could I ask both of you just what got you into the pediatric side of practice?
This guy.
Nothing better.
No, many years ago, I'll never forget, I was working at another chiropractic clinic and I was watching a baby being adjusted and just seeing the change from this child going from this screaming infant to just calming down so completely. And, that started my process. And then when I actually attended, I've done several pediatric programs in my time, and I've done Braden's here most recently. And I'll never forget, after doing Braden's course, I had one mum come in, and I've walked into the office, and there's the baby screaming on the table, and mum's sitting in the corner, and she's got her legs facing away, and she turns to me and she goes, "It won't stop crying." And after the treatment, so I've flagged this one immediately. I'm like, this is a concern, okay. And I've gone through the process. I'm assessing things, and I actually was a little release that we did for the occiput, and the kid just and stopped crying. To which the mother promptly started crying, and she said, "This is the first time I've seen her not cry." And I was like, first up, she responded as saying "her" as opposed to "it." Yes. And so weeks went past, and the mum has had a massive turnaround. Years go past, and it turns out she then admitted to having severe postnatal depression, and to the point that she had herself, she had psychological stuff done, all that kind of work. But the turnaround was so significant, she actually became the board. She was one of the directors on the board of the Postnatal Depression in Australia. And she came back to me to say, if it weren't for the things that you did, this could have been very, very different. And, so to get that kind of experience, and that's essentially what it's all about for me. Look at this. I get to go, I can address this from this point here. What have we unlocked for future? What have we unlocked in their future? That's just huge to me. So now I love it. It's just so fantastic.
Yeah, exciting and rewarding. Now my story is after 6 years in practice, I had my wife and I had our first child. We've got 4. So that's 28 years ago, and she's just about finished chiropractic here in Melbourne. But our first baby cried all the time, and I couldn't fix it. I couldn't help her, and I thought, wow, this has really opened my eyes to my inadequacy. So 2 years later, I saw that RMIT University in Melbourne was running a master's program in chiropractic pediatrics. So I got straight onto it, and I was in Scotland at that time, and I arranged for the association over there to sponsor the program in the UK, and started my career in pediatrics.
Phenomenal. I'm always blown away to hear people's stories about how we got into it, because there's always a personal something. I think doing our job is almost like teaching, whereas teaching young children, where there has to almost be a calling or a really driving passion to deal with that much snot and poo and wee, you know. There has to be a proper real drive behind that. But
so what's your story?
Oh, my story. You see, I'm supposed to be touring the world with rock and roll bands. Yeah, that was my plan. I'm a musician all the way through while I was studying. Still played music up and down, and then my dad's a chiropractor, studied at ACC, and when I started, I went into locum with him. He's also a karate instructor, so he went off to New York for 2 weeks to go and teach. And he said, well, the babies are coming. And I said, no, good Lord, don't do that. I'm 25 or 20, so I don't want them. Just tell them no. And he was like, no. Just let me show you what I want you to do with them, you know. And for 2 weeks, the first week I was paralytically scared. And then the second week I was like, hang on. There's something here. And I got into it, and then started getting into the research, and then went into did the masters and what have you. Had my own kids in between, which really changed my perception and my almost my vantage point, you know, on what was happening with him. And the weirdest thing is, I moved house 2 years ago, and I found all the forms from Sony and Arista Records I was supposed to fill in, so that when all these big name artists came out, I could work with them. And it turns out I never filled them in. And I just ended up seeing babies, and I just ended up really enjoying. I still maintain the fact that most babies cry a lot and have drinking problems. So I'm hanging out with rock stars. They're just pretty small.
Yeah, they're smaller.
Yeah. Oh, but I love it. We've all got a story that gets us into this, which is wonderful. Braden and Christian, thank you guys so much. First of all, for the work that you're doing. I think it is so necessary, and the fact that you guys have got on it and you are producing the level of work that you're producing, I thank you so much. And second of all, thank you so much for your time, for being here on the Pediatric Network. Really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you very much for having us, Mike. It's been a pleasure.
Yes, thank you. Anytime.
Wonderful. We will catch up soon.